On this video, we're going to discuss positioning a microphone and how it can affect the actual recorded sound of an instrument. I've got sitting here an acoustic guitar. It's pretty big. It's a jumbo-sized acoustic guitar. That's the size designation of this guitar. Looking at this guitar, you would think that all the sound comes out of the sound hole in the middle. A lot of volume comes out of there, but that's not necessarily the place that you want to mic the instrument. We're going to talk about positioning left to right or right to left and front to back. I'll get close and I'll get further away, and I'll talk about the reasons you might do these different things. Let's just start off with what will not be a good sound. I'm going to mic the instrument right over the sound hole, and I'm just going to strum a few chords. So for me, that is kind of unusable in anything that I would record because there's so much low-end information in there. And the information from the low end is really boomy. It's not really a nice, clean sound. Now, if I back away from it and still mic the same position, it will get better. But it's still not really a well-defined sound. Let's see what happens if we go a little bit more in this direction. So let's say we're halfway between where the fingerboard meets the body and the sound hole, right? Better, less low end in that. For an acoustic guitar like this, you would most likely start with your reference point as the 12th fret and move it a little bit left and right to see what the sweet spot is. So there I am on the 12th fret, and let me just play a little something. And that's a very balanced sound. Balanced meaning that the low strings are not overpowering the higher pitched strings. I'll play that same figure and I'll get over into this area here. It's not good, right? I can't use that sound. If I'm playing with just somebody singing, I might not want to have a completely thin sound. I might want to have a sound where there's a nice amount of low end and you can still hear clarity between all the strings, in which case I would probably be somewhere over here. If this was going to be in a track with a piano, a drum kit, a bass guitar, things that have low-end information in them. If I recorded this, I would have to add corrective EQ. It's best to get the sound as good as you can when you're recording and not, oh, I'll fix it in the mix. No, record the sound well. It's always better. If I was going to play this in a band with those instruments, I would get into this area. And if I felt, because this is a large guitar and probably a better guitar to play in a larger ensemble would be an auditorium-sized guitar, which is much smaller, but I don't own one, there are other tricks you can do to change the timbre of the guitar. So one thing is I can angle the microphone down a little bit so that the sound hits the top of the microphone and not straight into the microphone. All right, so let's see what happens. And to me, that's a beautiful sound for an acoustic guitar. It would help if I could play it better, but that's another story. Let's talk close and far away. When I'm close to the microphone, I'm going to get closer than I normally would get. And I'm going to play a little more gently. right? You can hear the pick hitting on instead of strumming cleanly, and you get such incredibly intimate detail. It's like someone is taking their ear and putting it right here. That is not natural, but we're creating, when we're recording, we're creating a soundstage and a world and telling a story. And sometimes having a recording technique where you're getting really intimate like that can let you play incredibly gently. And then you can hear the sound ringing out much better. There's a time and a place for that kind of a miking technique. Let's say that I was going to play something a little bit more aggressively. I would move away from the mic a little bit. Why? I don't want to overload the mic with all the sound coming out of this guitar. And also, I want to let the sound breathe a little bit in the room. And this is where having your room treated really helps, because you won't be exaggerating all of the reflective surfaces that are in your room when you're doing that. Now, here we go. That to me sounded okay. It could be played better, but the actual recording sound was really nice. It was clean, it was tight, it was articulate, and I could hear everything. I'll play the same thing closer, and what you'll hear is it gets incredibly sloppy, and things get exaggerated, dynamics get exaggerated. See, I moved away, and you could hear it so much. It's much nicer sounding. So these are things that you have to experiment around with. Also, mic technique is important. If you're a singer and a vocalist and you're singing and you're, about a half a foot to a foot away from the microphone and everything is sounding great, you come to an extremely loud area, you're going to back away from the microphone a little bit. Mic technique. And you can do that when you're playing as well. So, for example, if I'm playing like this, right? I can move back for the louder sections. And that's just really practicing and understanding these things. Now I've got a penny whistle, and I'm using the AKG 414, the large condenser microphone. And notice I have it above the penny whistle, kind of parallel to the playing technique. If I was playing like this, I'd have to play around with it, but it might be somewhere up in this area. The other thing I want to mention is that I've got this above where I'm standing. It could actually probably use to be higher up, but what happens is that if you get too close to the ceiling, you'll get reflections off the ceiling back into the mic, which are unpleasant. So if you really want to have the mic a little bit further away from your instrument because you think it sounds better, but it's too close to the ceiling, what do? You increase the distance between the mic and the ceiling by sitting down. So if I was seated in my chair, I'd be much further away from the mic. All right, practical solutions. Let's play around with this. A fairly nice round tone. Watch what happens when I take this part where you think the sound is coming out from and aim it at the microphone. It's really thin. It's not a pleasant sound. So I'll start playing in this position and I'll move it down and you can hear the sound change as I move the instrument. Let's see if I can coordinate this. Interesting, right? I hope this demonstration has been helpful.